Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Mark again here, Weatherman Plus. I have a very serious update for you this afternoon. I know it's kind of obvious. I'm doing an afternoon update, but I have two things I need to talk about. Severe weather and what's going on in tropics. Two things that are ramping up not only for today, in the coming days. Now, you can see that we do have that little area of invest that's going to be going towards the Western Caribbean, towards the southern half of the Gulf, in the Bay of Campeche. This is still going potentially into the Eastern Pacific, just like I've been updating you. But what we need to watch out for is this very powerful wave that's coming off right now. Now, it is meeting up with some dust. It's still getting the problems with the dust, and it is going to weaken it down. But this is going to persist and still turn out towards the Atlantic once it passes by the Eastern Caribbean, potentially as a tropical depression, maybe even strengthen up towards a tropical storm if it gets enough time. And then lately it's been shown it can fuse out. But what I can see in the ensemble is that it can also go towards Florida or go into the Atlantic. It's almost a 50-50 shot. So I'm going to show you all the latest information, what I have found for you, plus what's going on the severe weather. Because it has ramped up to an enhanced section, plus we have a slight risk right off the East Coast by North Carolina. This is for some storms that's going to be brewing up for you as you go through the evening right off the coast and go into the east. But over here, it's going to start bringing some very strong winds over here for the Central Plains and over here for the upper Midwest. Mostly as it goes from Minnesota into Wisconsin, labeled by National Weather Service as destructive winds moving through UP of Michigan and Michigan as this comes through all night long into the early morning hours. A big Bowen feature come with this all the way for tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is trending that it will weaken down, but it is showing in the latest runs that this is bringing a lot of very powerful winds, not only for Wisconsin, also showing for Michigan. Now, this is going to move around a little bit. I have timestamps in the description below. Now, we'll give you the severe weather update right after the latest tropical update. I want to give you the latest update on that as well, because I want to zoom in on this, and that way we can do it towards the end of the video as we're doing all the information at one time. So if you need the link, remember the link is in the description below. Make sure to support the video, click the like button, share this information to others, let them know what is going on, because this is ramping up pretty strong and what's going on in the tropics. And our latest update does have it as 20% in the next 7 days as it just moves westward. The environmental conditions get very favorable right here as it goes towards the Western Caribbean and just lingers by the Bay of Campeche and then travels to the west. I will show you the latest update. But soon you will probably see another X showing a possible development lingering over here as this potentially goes into the northern Atlantic or potentially goes in towards Bahamas or towards Florida. While we're still getting all this dust pushing everything from the MDR to the west, this is all that precipitation just adding up. We actually have 6 or 7 waves out here at this very same time. So the dust is suppressing a lot of it, but some of it is getting away. Now you can see the latest update with National Hurricane Center in 72 hours, taking this tropical wave further into the Eastern Pacific. Then another one's going to be over here into the Central American area by the Central Caribbean. And this is going to be going towards southern Yucatan over here by Belize and then push to the southern half of the Bay of Campeche, probably going in towards Mexico, maybe bringing y'all some more rainfall as well. And then these other waves right here, these are ones that we got to watch out for, particularly the second one. This is the one where our high pressure is going to move. Instead of a Bermuda high, where all this high pressure is singing all the way around, we're going to get an Azores high to where it just goes around like this and just leaves everything vulnerable for tropical waves to just start going in this direction and maybe even further. Now, when you take the latest update, you can literally see you have that big plume of dust moving through the Eastern Caribbean, bringing y'all a lot of dust in y'all area for a few hours, maybe even 12 or more. Still showing you might get a front-induced low forming up right off the East Coast and maybe bringing a tropical depression and a tropical storm out of that also, while that tropical wave meanders all the way across towards the Western Caribbean and possibly forming up into the Bay of Campeche and going to the west. Now, latest update shows you have all this dust behind it, you have some in front of it, but you don't have a lot on top of it. Now, I say that because when you look at the previous run, you can see that it showed that all this dust pushed this to the west. You see that western push? But now when you look at it, you can see the latest update, you can only go to 5 days. It's not showing that westward push just yet. And matter of fact, it could be making that west-northwest push, bringing some more precipitation. The trend has been very weak anyway, so it'd be just more rainfall added to you. But it could be coming in your direction with this wave because it is a little bit different. At the same time, you can see right here in the Caribbean that all that dust is still persisting through. You can see this on the latest outlook as you go 4 and 5 days. You can see maybe a front-induced low pushing off into the Atlantic, and this tropical wave going by the Western Caribbean in 7 days and forming up maybe in the southern half of the Bay of Campeche and pushing to the west. While we get that strong wave that's just now coming off the coast of Africa, maybe strengthening up towards a tropical depression. So far, it's only a 40 to a maybe 45% chance. That's about it. As you go 9 and 10 days away, that's another feature. This is literally 9 days away as that goes potentially to the north. We don't know which direction just yet. Latest run by the Euro does show that that wave will be weak as it goes by the Western Caribbean. The first one going to the southern half of the Bay of Campeche and pushing off into the Eastern Pacific. While that next wave that comes off the coast of Africa, that big one I was showing you, could form up quickly and then curve towards the north. Maybe a tropical depression. Remember, this is going to be mostly east side loaded and turning to the north. Now, when you look at the deterministic, the ensemble of the Euro, it's made to go long range. You can see the same thing exactly in 10 days. This is happening literally 9 and 10 days. After that, showing it will still go to the north. It could strengthen a little bit more and then fuse out. Maybe get a wobble right there to the west at the last second. That's why we need to watch it. I don't like wobbles in the tropics at all. But so far, that's what it's showing, that it will bring just some rainfall impacts and then get fused out into the Atlantic and not really a big issue. Also agreeing by the Canadian that maybe by you go 4 to 5 days, that wave going by the Western Caribbean, going to the southern half of the Bay of Campeche, and then roll into the west, just bringing more rainfall. So you definitely got to watch out for that Mexico. And that next wave, trending like the Euro is showing, possibly forming up something weak as it goes 9 days and beyond and just starts turning around the Azores high. And that's what the ensemble sees, could strengthen to a tropical depression by the time you go to July 3rd, July 4th, and maybe a tropical storm as it goes out further into the length. So we do need to watch out for our friends in Bermuda, but showing that it will fuse out after that. Not even really getting close. So remember, I have this link in the description below, so you can go click on it and zoom in and see how much rainfall you can particularly get. You can see all the way from Puerto Rico to the Virgin Islands, anywhere from an inch. But as you go by St. John's and start going by the Eastern Caribbean islands, this is where it starts adding up to 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches, all the way by Fort de France, as you go all the way down to Castries, Kingstown, all the way by St. George's, maybe all the way to an inch. Now, this is still 9 days away. So what you got to think about is maybe if this propagates a little bit further to the west before it takes that northern push, this would put you into a little bit heavier of a rainfall range where you need to watch out possibly for some heavy rainfall coming your way. I'm not showing a lot of strong winds, but this will bring some strong flooding. And for y'all over there in the islands, a little bit of rainfall is good because you do need it, but the flooding part you really don't need. So that's what you need to watch out for. Link is in the description below, so you can go zoom in. This is for everybody. For South America over here, for Central America, a lot of heavy rainfall coming your way. All the way from Yucatan to Mexico to the Cayman Islands. Everybody can zoom in on this, even in Mexico, and see where your potential flooding is coming. So far, showing Tampico could get it. Because look at the latest of the cyclone locations. So showing that wave will be weak as it meanders across Central America towards southern half of the Bay of Campeche. This is 3 days. But as we go 4 and 5 days, then we're going to get that possible wave come up to a tropical depression over by the Western Caribbean, traveling into the southern half of the Bay of Campeche, trending pretty much 50-50. It'd be either weak or be a tropical depression, even more likely into the Eastern Pacific as you go on 7 and 8 days away, maybe even bringing some close towards the southern half of Texas, northern Mexico. It would be north side loaded, bringing more winds and maybe more rainfall. While you see out here in the MDR, the main development region, do we actually get something about 8 days away, start forming up? Not a strong chance of being strength just yet. And as it curves to the north, starts growing. And you start getting that 50-50 chance of weak, but maybe a tropical storm. Now, this is where things change a bit, where it could either go to the north or it could go towards Florida. And this is why we really need to watch this. As you start going 10 days and above, you can see the transition where this wave could potentially be going. So we do need to watch that second wave that just came off the coast. Look at the ensembles with the Euro, showing that one in the Bay of Campeche can potentially go a little bit further to the north and become a tropical depression, maybe hit in southern Texas. And that wave that just came off the coast could strengthen up and head to the north as well, or spread to the west also. Now, when you go by the latest on the GEPS, showing that wave could kick a northern kick and not be in the southern half of the Bay of Campeche, which is not trending, but a little northern kick is trending. And it could kick early according to this model run, but showing in the trend it could kick later. So we might see that for southern Texas. So I'll keep your eyes open for it. But that next wave that's coming off the coast, showing that could form up a little bit later and make it into the Caribbean before it starts doing any turning. So we do need to watch that next wave. It could potentially be a big problem. Showing that we still have cooler waters over here north of the Yucatan. Matter of fact, we have below average waters going through the Gulf right now because we did have those systems stirring through. But if that system does turn over here by the Caribbean, once it goes northern to the Atlantic, it's going to fuse out. These waters are way too cold for it to keep a tropical system. It must be 80 degrees to keep that. And you can see it's not just below average in the Gulf, it's also well below average temperatures over here, so it would not survive. So it would be over here along the eastern Caribbean. We need to watch out for it. And if it lingers towards Florida, we got to watch out for that as well. Latest potential velocity anomaly is showing that we will have that sinking air propagating from Pacific, and it will be controlling a big area of no development possible in this region. That's why it's a little confusing with this information just coming out all the way to July 10th. And that wave is coming around the 5th. So how could it be strengthening up like that? So either, since it's the end of the model runs, it's not showing that, but the ensembles are showing it also. So it's really trending that that's going to happen, but it's not showing it in the data for any kind of lift. If the dust lets go, we're going to have the sinking air propagating to the east. And so after the dust lets go, we're going to have this stopping any kind of cyclone formation. And maybe some cyclone formation will start forming up around the 20th of July for us. Start getting them strong potential hurricanes, maybe even major hurricanes, as we go through the very beginning of August. This isn't looking good. You can see after we go by the 29th, we're going to start moving into this sinking air phase that's propagating to the east where nothing could form up. So that wave would have to turn right along that direction. It could not go towards Florida. That's what I'm thinking. We will see what the trend is that follows after this. Look how it hangs around all the way to July 9th. And after that, it weakens down, but you still got a sinking air. Then we still got that neutral phase and a very weak, favorable environment forming up after that. So we're about to go through some very tricky transitions. But you can also see when you look at the latest on the MJO, not only that sinking air that's going to be moving through that is going to be messing up with any kind of formation. After that, we are going towards favorable environment according to this after we go towards the 14th of July and really start ramping up towards the end of July into August. Favorable environment passing through. Now for today, there is a chance for tornadoes, and it has grown. We even got a 5% coming right towards me in Milwaukee. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for the chance for tornadoes for today. And remember, this is going to be overnight into the early morning also. You also have high winds moving through. You even have a big hatched area of 30% and significant severe at least 74 miles per hour wind gusts. That's hurricane winds. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for what they have as destructive winds passing through for tonight. And you have the slight risk along the East Coast also. Also the hail. Still expecting very large hail, 2 inches in diameter at least in this black hatched area. But it also had the 5% and the 15% and those storms on the coast of North Carolina. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for the hail threat for today. National Weather Service has scattered severe thunderstorms are expected over parts of the upper Midwest late this afternoon into tonight. A corridor of potentially widespread destructive wind gusts could develop over parts of Minnesota into Wisconsin. And I'm showing that it also can go not only into Michigan, it could weaken down by the time it goes through the morning, but also northern half of Ohio, northern half of Indiana. Now we will zoom in, so I'm going to be fast on this part. But you can see as it starts expanding into all these winds and these storms come through, as you go early in the morning, look how it starts bowing out with that feature, bringing the damaging winds, pushing right behind that as you go all night, early in the morning now through Michigan, and then for tomorrow. This is a 15-minute increments. This is more accurate. That's why I'm showing you this one. It's going to spark right back up for tomorrow, and it's showing that it could linger all the way around like this as this pushes down. I will update you early in the morning. I know I used to do early updates every morning. I will get back into my schedule. But you can see with your lower level winds as you go through tonight, you have a lot of very strong winds pushing behind that front line storms, create that bow. And look at this, you even get the white in there. Get all the way to 76 knot winds. Very powerful winds pushing right behind that as it bows out more towards Michigan, potentially with those winds. Look at that. As you go by 6 o'clock in the morning, be aware that that is showing some very powerful winds moving through. That is very strong. But you can see when you take a look that you have the storms form up over here by the Carolinas. You also got the storms form up over here for the Central Plains, bringing a lot of 50s and 60 miles per hour wind gusts. And you can see these storms brewing up all night into the early morning hours with the damaging winds as this all pushes to the east. Look at all these winds coming through, and these are going right offshore. Showing as you go from Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, all the way from Kansas to Nebraska, 40, 50, getting 60 in the red, maybe a little higher in the brown miles per hour wind gusts. Northern Minnesota going into Canada, but northern Wisconsin going all the way to Michigan, that is 50 and 60, even some strips of brown in there, that is 70. But you can see the banding that is going to be pushing through with that system. It is going to be all night long. It's going to be very powerful winds, and this could move a little bit further to the southern side. This is not set in stone just yet. Remember, this is the hatched area over here. Also hitting the UP of Michigan, northern Illinois, and can't see too much further, but you can see how this is just going to stretch even further towards Indiana, and it's just going to bow out. This feature is going to bow out like this with this winds. It's going to weaken as it comes out to y'all, but it's still going to spread a little bit further than what we're seeing right now. So for tomorrow, you do have chances for tornadoes, and you do see they did move it further to the southern side. Still a 2%. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for that for tomorrow. You also have the wind threat and the hail threat for tomorrow. Even significant severe chances for large hail in that black hatched area. So here's your cities and states at risk for the hail threat for tomorrow for Tuesday. And here's your cities and states at risk for the damage and winds for Tuesday. Now, I'm trying to give you a timing on these storms that is passing through as you're going through 10 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock at night. Remember, this time up here is Central Time. You can see it starts coming through northern Wisconsin. Very powerful storms, bringing hail cores with them as well, but it starts bowing out, bringing the damage and wind threat with that as you go by early in the morning. Now you're 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, going all the way to 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning as it goes by Michigan as well, bringing those damage and winds. Now, instead of going this direction in a southeasterly direction, this could easily turn a little bit more into this direction. So just be aware, if you're in the warnings, National Weather Service are the trained meteorologists. They are the ones that know which way these storms are going to end up going by the atmosphere. But look how you go for tomorrow morning, how it spreads out with that bowing feature. And that's where you have that severe weather for tomorrow as well, as that starts growing as well. So it is going to be multiple days, more dangerous for today. We can't rule out the storms for tomorrow. These are strong also. But showing as you go through the evening, you also got these storms over here by the Carolinas. These are going to form up and start moving offshore as you go through the evening. Start to become some very strong cells as well, but it is stronger as you go offshore. So if someone's out here in some boats, be careful. You have some very strong storms pushing through. Be safe tonight, everybody. These storms are strengthening up, so it's looking pretty serious. Just take precautions. Check on your neighbors. Make sure everybody be okay. Make sure you check on the pets. And remember, don't fear. This is just storms passing through. Just be prepared. Get things out of the yard. Don't let the winds pick them up as projectiles. So if you do have a NOAA radio, I recommend you plug that in so you can get alerts as soon as they do come in your area. Before you go for tonight, Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yes, I will help thee. Yes, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Amen. It's Jesus speaking. So remember, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope He keeps you safe every single day of your life, especially for tonight through these storms. Hope everything will be okay. Hope these storms just dissolve and weaken on down. and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Stay safe, everybody. I'll keep you updated.